The moment I came to, the butler was staring down at me, flanked by 2 bodyguards. Mr. Reed, Ms. Sterling was very clear. If you try to run again, I have been instructed to break both of your legs. He sneered. You should learn your place. This is what you get for defying her. He slid a bowl of what looked like spoiled leftovers in front of me, his eyes filled with disgust. Here's your meal for the day. If you dare knock it over again, you'll be breathing air for the next 3 days. With that, the butler and his goons turned to leave. I let out a cold laugh. Hold it. What? The butler turned, surprised. I drove the palm of my hand straight into his face. I followed it with a knee to his stomach, a sharp, brutal impact. The butler's face twisted in pain, and he doubled over, collapsing to his knees with a thud. I grabbed his hair and slammed his head against the wall. You son of a bitch, I snarled. An old dog who dares to bark at his master? I'll put you down today. The butler's head was bleeding now, and he started to scream. Damn you. What are you two waiting for? Teach this worthless piece of trash a lesson. Just don't kill him. Anything else is on me. The 2 bodyguards finally snapped out of their shock and lunged at me. Pathetic. I threw a straight punch, catching the first one square in the nose. Blood exploded from his nostrils as his eyes glazed over. I drove a powerful kick into the second bodyguard's abdomen, sending him flying backward. He crashed into the basement door with a tremendous bang. The door splintered and collapsed off its hinges. A group of housekeepers, drawn by the noise, stood frozen in the hallway, their faces a mask of shock. Was this the same meek, pathetic man they were used to? Oh my God, he's having an episode. Stay back. He's mentally ill. If he kills you, it won't even count. He's been locked up for 3 days without his medication. No wonder he's so strong. I heard when people like him have a breakdown, it takes 5 or 6 men to hold them down. Hearing their hushed whispers, I was finally certain. I had been dropped into the trashy TV drama I'd just been watching, and I was now the pathetic, disposable side character. The female lead of this story was named Victoria Sterling. The Sterling family had a secret, a hereditary curse. All the women in their line possessed a rare genetic condition that made their blood incompatible with life past the age of 25. The only cure was to unite with a man possessing an equally rare, perfectly compatible genetic makeup. Victoria's grandfather had searched the entire country and found no one. Until one day, Victoria crashed her car into a lake and nearly drowned. It was the original me who had desperately smashed the window and pulled the unconscious Victoria from the wreck. From that moment, he was utterly captivated by her beauty. To show his gratitude, Victoria's grandfather paid him a visit. It was then he discovered, by sheer chance, that this young man was the 1 in a billion genetic match they had been searching for. He immediately proposed a marriage. The original me was already lovesick for Victoria. He agreed without a second thought. To ensure the marriage went smoothly, Victoria's grandfather had forcibly sent Victoria's childhood sweetheart, Julian Vance, overseas. For the 3 years he had been living in the Sterling mansion, Julian remained the one who got away, the idealized love of Victoria's life. She never believed in the family curse, dismissing the dead by 25 rule as an old-world superstition. She channeled all her resentment over Julian being sent away on her new husband. No matter how humbly he tried to please her, making her breakfast in bed, buying her thoughtful gifts, all he ever received was her icy contempt and silent treatment. For 3 years, they were husband and wife in name only. He developed severe depression, self-harming tendencies, and intermittent explosive disorder, for which he was on heavy medication. 3 years later, Victoria's 25th birthday was approaching. Her grandfather fell gravely ill. The moment Victoria took control of the family empire, the first thing she did was arrange for Julian, her long-lost love, to return from abroad. The very day he landed, Victoria moved Julian into the master suite of the house she shared with her husband. That was the final straw that broke the original me. He confronted her, screaming, "Victoria, the day your old flame comes back, you move him into our home? Am I dead to you?" Julian immediately started to tear up, a picture of wounded innocence. "Tori, I think Mr. Reed doesn't like me being here. Please don't fight because of me. Maybe I should just go." He made a show of leaving, but Victoria grabbed his arm. Her gaze toward her husband was filled with utter impatience. "Caleb, you are nothing but a live-in for the Sterling family. This is my house. I decide who stays here. You don't have the right to question me. If you can't handle it, then get out and find your own place. Don't be an eyesore for Julian." Unable to bear the humiliation, he left the mansion that day. But Julian wasn't finished with him. Claiming he wanted to test drive Victoria's new sports car, he followed. He floored the gas pedal and sent the man flying. Fortunately, he landed in a large decorative pond, which saved his life. He was rushed to the hospital, but Victoria showed up with a legal waiver, demanding he sign it to absolve Julian of any wrongdoing. His eyes were bloodshot as he stared at her. Victoria, I'm your husband. Can't you see he did it on purpose? And now you want me to forgive him? Victoria's face hardened. Caleb, don't you think I know whether it was deliberate? He just hasn't driven a supercar in a while and got nervous. If you hadn't been walking in the middle of the road, how could he have hit you? I think you're the one who planned this to frame him. I never knew you could be so vicious. Now, are you going to sign this or not? The only reason your family's business has grown these past few years is because of my family's money. Don't force my hand. Just then, his father called. The moment he answered, he was met with a torrent of abuse. His father threatened to disown him if he didn't sign the papers. After he signed, his rage disorder kicked in. He went on a rampage, destroying his hospital room. A new psychiatric evaluation diagnosed him with clear symptoms of schizophrenia. Victoria was seriously considering having him committed. When her grandfather heard, he nearly had a stroke. He warned Victoria that if she dared to send Caleb away, he would write a new will and donate the entire Sterling family fortune to charity, leaving her without a single penny. Only then did Victoria back down. She coaxed and placated him until he calmed down and brought him back to the mansion. But how could Julian let it go? A couple of days later, he deliberately threw himself down the stairs and blamed Caleb. Victoria looked at Julian, his head bleeding, and her heart shattered. Her eyes, red with fury, fixed on Caleb. Beat him. I want him to suffer 100 times what Julian has. His explanations were useless. He was held down by bodyguards and brutally beaten until he was half dead, then thrown into the basement and locked away for 3 days and nights. Until I arrived, now, I was the one delivering the beating, pounding my fists into the butler's old face. Hearing the housekeeper's whispers, the butler was now genuinely terrified. I was a diagnosed psychiatric patient. If I actually killed him, I'd probably get away with it. He started sobbing, begging for his life. Sir, I was wrong. Please, I'm begging you, let me go this one time. Stop hitting me, sir. A cold smile touched my lips. In a world this dramatic, it seemed fists were the only answer. This body hadn't eaten in 3 days, and the burst of action left me dizzy. I slapped him across the face again. Since you know you were wrong, give me something to eat. And if you ever show me a hint of disrespect again, I won't be in such a good mood. The old butler looked overjoyed at the command. He scrambled to his feet and yelled at the gawking housekeepers. What are you staring at? Go prepare a meal for Mr. Reed. Are you trying to starve him? What is wrong with you people, treating him like this? The butler scurried off with the staff to prepare food. I went upstairs, took a shower, and changed into the original's best suit, a custom designer piece. I opened his phone. It was filled with taunting videos from Julian. One showed him in Victoria at a romantic restaurant. Another showed them at a bar, surrounded by friends, goading them into linking arms to drink. Another was of them watching the sunrise, shoulder to shoulder. The latest was a video of Victoria presenting him with a brand new, multi-million-dollar supercar. In the video, Julian looked directly at the camera, his eyes mocking. Caleb, you're just the Sterling's live-in husband. A dog. Has Tori ever bought you a gift? If you have any sense, you'll divorce her. If not, I have plenty of ways to deal with you. I texted back, dumbass. Who the hell do you think you are? Then I saved the video. I checked his bank account. The balance was $2.50. A surge of rage went through me. Fuming, I stormed to the security room and downloaded the footage of Julian framing me, along with clips of Victoria's abuse. Then I went to her safe and took out the only thing her mother had left her, the legendary Sterling Legacy bracelet, a priceless piece of imperial jade. I also took the time to print out a severance agreement to cut ties with my own family. First, I sent Victoria a picture of the bracelet and the video of Julian's new car. Victoria, you fucking bought your little boyfriend a multi-million-dollar car? You have 30 minutes to wire me $2 million. Otherwise, you can say goodbye to your mother's bracelet. After sending the message, I calmly strolled to the dining table to eat. Victoria was still overseas on business. Less than a minute after I sent the text, my phone started ringing incessantly. I declined every call. She tried 99 times. I didn't answer once. Finally, she called the butler. The bruised and swollen butler stood nearby, bowing and scraping into the phone, cold sweat pouring down his forehead. Miss Sterling, it's not that I didn't try to stop him. The bodyguards and we couldn't beat him. There was nothing I could do. Yes. I'm useless. I beckoned to the butler and took the phone. Well, Ms. Sterling, you sound upset. Hearing my voice, the tone on the other end shot up several octaves. Caleb Reed, if you dare touch that bracelet, I will kill you. I calmly sip my soup, unbothered. Go ahead, Victoria. If you think you can, bring it on. I'll remind you. You have 5 minutes left to decide. The line went silent, except for the sound of Victoria's ragged breathing. Caleb, she hissed through clenched teeth. You dare threaten me? Do you have any idea how important that bracelet is to me? 4 minutes. I couldn't be bothered with her hysterics and cut her off. Ms. Sterling, if I were you, I'd stop wasting time. You know my condition. I'm mentally ill. My hand might slip, and if this bracelet were to fall. I could hear the sharp click of her heels pacing on the other end. She was trying to choke back her rage, saying nothing. 3 minutes later, a notification popped up on my phone. A $2 million wire transfer. Victoria's voice came through the line again. Caleb, the money has been sent. Now, give the bracelet to the butler immediately. If you don't, when I get back. Before she could finish her threat, my hand slipped. The jade bracelet fell to the floor. With a sharp crack, it shattered into several pieces. Victoria obviously heard the sound. The other end of the line fell dead silent. I couldn't even hear her breathing. After a full 6 seconds, an agonized, blood-curdling scream erupted from a phone. Celeb. Reed. I glanced nonchalantly at the 3 pieces of jade on the floor and chuckled into the phone. Oops. My hand slipped. You know how it is, Ms. Sterling. My illness. I don't handle threats well. When I hear one, my hands start to shake. You're dead. Victoria's voice was trembling with fury. Caleb, I will make you wish you were never born. I will wipe your family off the map in this city. I hung up before she could finish. The butler stood nearby, his face pale and his legs trembling. 5 minutes after I hung up on Victoria, my so-called father, Arthur Reed, called. I rejected it without a thought. About half an hour later, Arthur stormed into the Sterling mansion. He looked at me as if he were looking at his father's killer, his eyes bloodshot. Before he even reached me, his furious roar filled the room. Caleb Reed, are you trying to get yourself killed? You dared to smash Mrs. Sterling's heirloom. You ungrateful brat. Are you trying to drag the entire Reed family down with you? I sat on the sofa, calmly eating a piece of fruit. A baseball bat lay on the floor by my feet. Mr. Reed, why are you so angry? I said placidly, tossing him an orange. Have one of these. It might help you cool down. Arthur instinctively caught the object flying at him. When he saw it was just an orange, his rage intensified. What did you call me? Mr. Reed? I'm your father. Caleb, what the hell are you trying to do? I picked up the baseball bat and, with a loud crack, shattered a massive antique porcelain vase next to me. The explosive sound made Arthur jump. The butler and the staff shrieked in terror. He stared at the shards on the floor, his right hand trembling as he pointed a finger at me. Caleb, you're insane. I narrowed my eyes and shattered another, identical vase. I hefted the bat and started walking toward him, the tip dragging on the marble floor with a piercing scrape. Insane. I chuckled. Mr. Reed, did you not know I have a psychiatric diagnosis? Would you like to see the paperwork? Arthur backed away in fear, stumbling and nearly falling. You, stay away from me. You asked me what I want to do. I suddenly swung the bat with all my might, smashing it down on the glass coffee table between us. With a deafening crash, the table exploded, sending shards of glass flying everywhere. I want to tear this entire mansion down. I threw the severance agreement I had prepared in his face. Mr. Reed, $20 million to buy out our father-son relationship. I'll have everyone here witness that from this day forward, I, Caleb Reed, will bear sole responsibility for my actions. They will have nothing to do with you or the Reed family. That way, maybe Victoria won't take her anger out on you. I'm giving you 3 minutes to think about it. Otherwise, knowing Victoria's temper, once she bankrupts your company, you'll lose a lot more than just this. Without waiting for his answer, I raised the bat and went on a rampage. The fish tank, the television, the crystal sculptures, I smashed them all to bits. A few bodyguards looked like they wanted to stop me, but they didn't dare approach. Only the butler made a desperate attempt, grabbing my arm, his voice trembling and tearful. Sir, you can't. If Miss Sterling finds out. Get off me. I kicked him away and shot a cold look at Arthur. Mr. Reed, if I hadn't married into the Sterling family, would your company be pulling in tens of millions in profit every year? You better think carefully. Don't be penny wise and pound foolish. Arthur saw me swing the bat again, his eyes filled with terror. He was finally convinced. His son was truly, completely insane. He screamed, Stop, stop. I'll transfer the money right now. The bat stopped in midair. I turned to him with a grin. Finally see the light, Mr. Reed. Arthur's face was ashen. He took out his phone, his hands shaking and gritted his teeth in silence. As I watched him make the transfer, I swung the bat casually and reminded him, remember to add a note, voluntary gift. Arthur shot me a hateful glare, but did as he was told. 2 minutes later, a text alert confirmed a $20 million deposit. Caleb Reed, you better remember what you said today. None of your actions have anything to do with the Reed family. If you dare drag me into this, I won't let you off. I put my phone away, satisfied, and tossed him the severance agreement. Enough talk. Sign it. Arthur looked at the document, which I had already signed, and shakily added his name. The agreement was in duplicate. I took one copy. Good. Now, Mr. Reed, you can get the hell out. Arthur gave me one last, complicated look before turning and leaving a defeated slump in his shoulders. After he was gone, I tossed the baseball bat on the floor and looked at the butler, who had collapsed in a heap. Call Victoria. Tell her I didn't like the furniture, so I smashed it. She needs to replace it all. The old butler lay on the ground, his face white as a sheet, his lips trembling too much to speak. I roared. Didn't you hear me? I heard you. The butler jumped as if electrocuted, scrambling to his feet and fumbling for his phone. I whistled a tune and casually walked upstairs as I heard the butler stammering into the phone. And Mr. Reed, he smashed the entire living room. Victoria's shrill shriek came through the phone. Caleb Reed, tell him to wait for me. I'm coming back to the country right now. I'm going to make him pay. I went back to the master bedroom and threw all of Julian's belongings out. Victoria really was hopelessly devoted to her one true love. She had been sleeping in a guest room while giving the best room in the house to this two-faced snake. That night, I was sleeping soundly when Julian finally returned after a full day of joyriding in his new supercar. He saw me in the bed he had been occupying, and rage instantly flashed in his eyes. With Victoria not home, he dropped the act. Julian ripped the covers off me, his face contorted in a snarl. Who the hell gave you permission to sleep here? Get back to your kennel now. You're just a dog in the Sterling family. Did you really start thinking you're Tori's husband? I looked at him and smiled. This little parasite still had the guts to posture in front of me. Now that I was well-fed and rested, I had plenty of strength. My smile only made him angrier. What are you smiling at? You're a pathetic waste of space. Your family hates you. Tori doesn't love you. Tell me, what's the point of you being alive? If I were you, I'd have killed myself long ago. He saw that I wasn't sad or hurt like before. In fact, my smile only widened, which enraged him further. You goddamn loser. What are you smiling about? I'm telling you, you're finished. The butler said you not only smashed Tori's mother's heirloom, but also destroyed the living room. Tori is already on her way back. Let's see who can save you this time. You actually dug your own grave. But I guess that's smart of you. Save me the trouble of dealing with you myself. Don't worry, after you're dead, I'll take good care of Tori for you. I swung my legs out of bed and stood up, looking at him with a pleasant grin. Are you done? What? Julian was momentarily stunned. He had never expected this kind of reaction from me. The next second, my hand cracked across his face. The slap was incredibly powerful. Julian was sent flying sideways, his head crashing into the doorframe of the walk-in closet with a loud thud. He clutched his rapidly swelling cheek, his mind a complete blank. He looked up, his eyes wide with disbelief. Caleb Reed, you hit me? I hit you. So what? Do I need to make an appointment? I lunged forward, unleashing a barrage of kicks and punches. Stop it. Julian screamed in terror. Caleb, you're crazy. Just you wait. I'm telling Tori. He fumbled for his phone through the pain, but just as he unlocked it, I snatched it from his hand. In the story, this Julian was no saint. He'd gotten into all sorts of trouble abroad, with a particular fondness for recording his exploits with women. He kept hundreds of explicit videos on his phone to savor later. I opened his photo gallery. Sure enough, a flood of obscene images filled the screen. I immediately forwarded all of them to my own phone. Julian finally realized what was happening and started to struggle frantically. Give it back. Damn it. Give me back my phone. He tried to lunge for it, but I easily sidestepped him. TSK. Looks like you've been eating well overseas, I said, turning the phone screen toward him. Tell me, what do you think Victoria's reaction will be when she sees these? Julian's face went pale. A flicker of genuine fear finally appeared in his eyes, and his voice trembled. What? What do you want? What do I want? I pocketed his phone and slapped him across the face again. I want you to disappear from my sight. I want you to never, ever get in my face again. Understand? Before he could answer, I grabbed him by the collar and started dragging him out of the room. Now Julian was truly panicking, his eyes wild with fear. Caleb, what are you doing? I'm warning you. Don't think you can do whatever you want just because you're insane. His voice started to crack, turning into a sob. I was wrong. Caleb, bro, you're my brother. I really know I was wrong. Please, just delete the videos. I'll do anything you say. I dragged him right to the top of the main staircase. Julian, last time you framed me for pushing you down these stairs, didn't you? This time, I'll make it a reality for you. As the words left my mouth, Julian's face turned white as a sheet. No, don't. He clung desperately to the railing, his hands shaking uncontrollably. Caleb, I was wrong. I really know I was wrong. Oh, really? Now you know you were wrong. I sneered. Too late. I pried his fingers off the railing one by one, glancing at his terrified expression without a shred of pity. A two-faced snake like him deserved a taste of his own medicine. Caleb Reed, you dare. Julian shrieked. Tori will never forgive you. Then let her come, I said, and kicked him down the stairs. Julian's piercing scream echoed through the mansion, followed by a sickening thud as he landed in a heap at the bottom, completely still. I'll give you to the count of 3 to get the hell out of my house. Or else, I called down. 3, 2. The supposedly unconscious Julian didn't dare to play dead any longer. He scrambled to his feet and practically fell over himself running out of the mansion, moving with the jerky, desperate speed of a ghost in a horror film. The household staff who witnessed the scene looked like they had seen a ghost. I roared at them. What are you looking at? Get back to work. The gawking staff flinched and vanished in an instant. Finally, the world was quiet. The next day, I was downstairs having breakfast when Victoria finally arrived. She threw open the main doors, followed by 7 or 8 bodyguards who filed in and formed 2 grim lines behind her. Victoria's face was dark, her eyes burning with a murderous intensity. I took a slow sip of milk, not even bothering to look up. Well, Ms. Sterling, you certainly know how to make an entrance. I dabbed my mouth with a napkin and finally raised my head. Have you had breakfast? Care to join me? Victoria was practically vibrating with rage, her chest heaving. It was a rather distracting sight, so early in the morning. She strode toward me in her high heels, her steps sharp and angry, and swept the entire breakfast setting off the table with one furious motion. Her almond-shaped eyes locked onto mine. Caleb Reed, you have some nerve. Where is Julian? I feigned a moment of thought. It seemed Julian, out of guilt, hadn't dared to tell Victoria where he'd gone after I threw him out. I slowly stood up and straightened my collar. How would I know where your boy Toy is? For all I know, he took the money you gave him and is off living it up somewhere. You're lying. Victoria's face was livid, her teeth clenched in hatred. And you dared to smash my mother's heirloom? Did you really think that just because you're my husband and my father supports you, I wouldn't dare to touch you? You want to bet I'll destroy you today? Victoria raised her hand to slap me. Before I was transmigrated, I was a mercenary. Did she really think I let her? Did she really think I was that pathetic pushover from her drama? My own hand shot out, faster than hers. A loud crack echoed in the room as I slapped her so hard she stumbled and fell to the floor. Victoria clutched her cheek, completely stunned. She couldn't believe it. The man who had worshipped her for 3 years, who had catered to her every whim, had just hit her. The live-in husband who would tiptoe around her if she so much as frowned had dared to strike her. Victoria had lived a life of privilege, coddled since birth. Not even her parents had ever laid a hand on her. And now, she had just been slapped by the lapdog she so thoroughly despised. Her face twisted with humiliation. She turned to her bodyguards and shrieked, "Get him! I want you to chop off that hand." The 7 or 8 men surged forward. I just smiled, not retreating, but advancing. I met the first guard charge with a punch straight to his face. His nose collapsed with a wet crunch, and blood sprayed from his nostrils. I sidestepped a wild hook from another guard, caught his wrist in an iron grip, and twisted. A sickening snap echoed as his arm dislocated. I swept the third guard's legs out from under him, and he went down with a grunt. Every one of my strikes was precise, aimed at a weak point, designed to neutralize the threat in a single move. I finished by grabbing the last bodyguard and executing a perfect shoulder throw, sending him flying into the brand-new coffee table. It exploded into 1,000 pieces with a final, percussive crash. In less than 2 minutes, the fight was over. The bodyguard were all on the floor, groaning in agony. The grand hall was a wreck. Everyone was stunned. No one could have imagined that the pathetic, worthless husband they all looked down on was capable of such brutal efficiency. Victoria stared at me as if she were seeing a monster. I casually picked up a fruit knife from a nearby bowl. In these kinds of stories, this was the ultimate weapon. Once drawn, it ignored all defenses. No one could escape it. Victoria's eyes went wide, and she scrambled backward. What? What are you doing? I'm warning you, stay calm. Don't do anything crazy. Let go of me. I grab her by the hair and drag her to the sofa. I sat down and began to tap her cheek with the flat of the blade. Victoria, did you know that in the eyes of the law, an insane person can't be held responsible for murder? Tell me, if I were to kill you right now and then burn this place to the ground, wouldn't that be interesting? Victoria looked at my wild expression, her pupils constricting. Now, she was truly afraid. She was trembling from head to toe. Caleb, I was wrong. I really know I was wrong. Just be calm, please stay calm. Don't get agitated. I looked at her with contempt, tapping her cheek again with the knife. All right then, tell me exactly what you were wrong about. Victoria was shaking uncontrollably, tears streaming down her face. I shouldn't have let Julian move in. I shouldn't have forced you to sign the waiver after he hit you with the car. I shouldn't have locked you in the basement. And the tip of the knife traced a line along her delicate cheek. I shouldn't have been so cold to you, and I shouldn't have looked down on you. Her voice was choked with sobs. Caleb, for the sake of the 3 years we've been married, please let me go. Married? I let out a cold laugh. Victoria, when have you ever treated me like a husband? Did you forget that if I hadn't saved you that day, you would have died? Slap. I hit her again. You knew damn well Julian hit me on purpose, but you told me I walked into the road to frame him. Slap. I struck her other cheek. Didn't I tell you I never pushed Julian? That he threw himself down the stairs to frame me. I pointed to the security camera at the top of the stairs. There's a camera right there in plain sight, and you didn't even bother to look before you had me locked up? And you want to talk to me about our marriage? Victoria turned her head away, biting her lip, silent. Fine. You still believe that two-faced snake, don't you? Then why don't you take a good look at the kind of person he really is? I pulled out my phone and played the security footage of Julian framing me, followed by the depraved videos I had taken from his phone. At first, Victoria stubbornly refused to look, but when the first video started playing, her eyes were involuntarily drawn to the screen. The footage clearly showed the entire process of Julian faking his fall. His acting was so clumsy and exaggerated it looked ridiculous now. No, this is impossible. Julian isn't like that. He would never lie to me, Victoria murmured, her face growing paler by the second. Don't worry, I said. It gets better. I smiled coldly and played the next video. When the obscene images filled the screen, Victoria's eyes shot wide open in disbelief. No. Impossible. This isn't real. She stammered, staring at me. You faked these videos, didn't you? I've known Julian since we were kids. This can't be him. Faked. I gave her a chilling look. Victoria, do you know why you haven't been able to reach Julian? Because I sent these videos to myself from his phone. He's been hiding from you because he's terrified you'll find out. Victoria looked as if all the strength had been drained from her body. She slumped to the floor, unable to accept it. The pure, idealized love of her life was nothing but a degenerate liar. No, it's not possible. Julian is too kind and innocent to be this kind of person. An idea struck me. Oh, right. I knew you wouldn't believe me, I said casually. So, before you walked in the door, I sent these videos to your personal assistant to have them professionally authenticated. If I'm not mistaken, the results should be on your phone right now. Your assistant is your most trusted employee, isn't she? You wouldn't doubt her, would you? Victoria fumbled for her phone with trembling hands. When she saw the authentication report her assistant had sent 5 minutes earlier, she froze as if struck by lightning. In that moment, her entire world collapsed. Tears streamed down her face as she struggled with the horrifying truth. Just then, the butler ran in, his voice choked with panic. Miss Sterling, the hospital just called. The master, he's passed away. He took a shaky breath. His last words were, that you must consummate your union with Mr. Reed before your birthday. Victoria's phone slipped from her hand, clattering to the floor and shattering the screen. Dad! A heart-wrenching sob tore from her throat. The next few weeks were a blur for Victoria as she dealt with the aftermath of her grandfather's death and the inheritance. As his only, doted-upon child, the funeral she arranged was magnificent. On the day of the burial, the sky was a blanket of gray, a light drizzle falling. I stood in a black suit under a black umbrella, placing a bouquet of chrysanthemums on the fresh grave. Rest in peace, old man, I thought. Don't worry about the Sterling Corporation. I'll take good care of it. As for Victoria, leaning on my arm, Victoria walked away from the cemetery. The old butler hurried over to us. Miss Sterling, he whispered, we found Julian. What are your instructions? Victoria's eyes turned to ice. Take him to the basement. I'll be there shortly. The butler nodded and rushed off to make the arrangements. The basement was dark and damp. Julian was on his knees, his hands tied behind his back by 2 bodyguards. When he saw Victoria, he immediately put on his pitiful, innocent act. "Tori, what is this? Please, let me go," he pleaded, his voice trembling. "Was it Caleb? Did he show you those videos?" "Tori, they're all fake. He forged them. You can't believe him." Victoria slapped him hard across the face. Her eyes were devoid of any warmth. "Fake," she hissed. "Julian, are you still lying to me?" She threw a thick file of papers at his face, her eyes burning with rage. "Did you think I was doing nothing these past few days? Take a look at this. Not only has your private life been a cesspool, but you've also racked up massive gambling debts. Did you really think I was that easy to fool?" Julian shakily picked up the scattered papers, his face ashen. "Tori, let me explain." He crawled toward her, trying to grab the hem of her dress, but she kicked him away. "Explain," she spat. "Julian, I was faithful to you for 3 years. You told me over and over again that you were the same. You make me sick. You come back and immediately try to run Caleb over with a car. Then you throw yourself down the stairs to frame him? Fine, I could have overlooked all of that. But I will not tolerate being lied to. And I will not tolerate betrayal. Your family has been surviving on my family's handouts for years. All of your expenses abroad were paid for with my money. And you used my money to sleep with those women? Julian, how dare you?" Victoria slowly took a baseball bat from one of the bodyguards, a vicious glint in her eyes. Now, Julian was truly terrified. He stared at the bat, shaking uncontrollably. "Tori, I was wrong. I'll never do it again. Tori, please calm down." No." In the next moment, Victoria's resolve hardened. She swung the bat with all her might, bringing it down on Julian's right leg. With a sickening crack, his leg bent at an unnatural angle. But she wasn't done. She stomped the sharp heel of her shoe onto his hand, grinding into the concrete floor until it was a bloody mess. Julian let out a scream of pure agony. Victoria's expression was cold and merciless. "Julian, you brought all of this on yourself." She turned to the butler. "Since Julian has such a fondness for dark-skinned women, send him to Africa. Consider it a charitable donation to the local women." "Yes, Miss Sterling." The butler nodded and motioned for the bodyguards to drag Julian away. Julian, fighting through the searing pain, begged and pleaded, tears and snot streaming down his face. "Tori, I was wrong. Please forgive me. I'll never do it again." His voice faded as they dragged him away. It looked like I would never see that two-faced snake again. A week later, it was Victoria's birthday. With her grandfather's recent passing, she kept it small, just a few close friends who left early. By my calculations, Victoria only had a few hours left to live. I lay in bed, listening intently to the sounds outside my door. Sure enough, at the stroke of midnight, a weak knocking began. "Honey, save me. Caleb, please open the door. I was wrong. My father was right all along. Please, save me. My chest hurts so much." I opened the door and stood there, coldly observing Victoria collapsed on the floor. Blood was trickling from her eyes, nose, and mouth, her face a ghostly white. Her eyes were filled with desperate pleading, but I felt nothing. In the original story, the protagonist was still locked in the basement, eating food worse than a dog's. When Victoria's illness struck, she finally realized her father had been telling the truth and begged him for help just like this. The kind-hearted fool saved her at the last minute by sleeping with her. The next morning, Julian happened to see them in bed together. He had a complete meltdown, threatening suicide. Victoria, to appease her lover, blamed everything on the protagonist, accusing him of taking advantage of her while she was vulnerable. She had him dragged back to the basement and tortured to death. Then she and Julian lived happily ever after. And this venomous woman expected me to save her. A small smile played on my lips. "Victoria, it's the 21st century. How can you believe in such futile superstitions? We have to trust in science." Victoria was writhing on the floor, groaning in agony as blood continued to seep from her face. She reached out with a trembling hand and grabbed my pant leg. "No, it's not a superstition. I was wrong. Please, save me. Please, sleep with me." I crouched down and gently patted her cheek. "Victoria, you're a beautiful woman, but looking like this, I just don't think I can bring myself to do it." I pulled my hand back in disgust and wiped it on her pristine white nightgown. "How about this? Kneel and beg me. Maybe then I'll consider it." Fighting through the excruciating pain, Victoria got on her knees and started banging her head on the floor. "I was wrong, my husband. Please, save me. Sleep with me." Her face was a contorted mask of desperation. "I'll give you anything you want. My shares, the company, everything I have is yours." I stood up, looking down on her with icy detachment. "Victoria, if you die, as your legal husband, Wouldn't I inherit all of that anyway? Victoria's pupil shrank. She finally understood. I didn't care if she lived or died. She became even more frantic. Caleb, you planned this all along? Caleb, you love me so much. How can you not save me? Ah, damn you. You bastard, Caleb. I watched her descent into madness, watched her thrash and roll on the floor in agony. Victoria, I said calmly, I stopped loving you a long time ago. It was the ultimate killing blow in a story like this. Victoria completely shattered. Impossible. How could you not love me? She shrieked. You were so good to me. You were my lapdog. How can you not love me? The commotion finally drew the butler and the other staff. I turned to them and shouted, my voice filled with fake panic. Hurry, call an ambulance. By the time the ambulance arrived, Victoria had already lost consciousness. The hospital worked through the night, but they couldn't save her. I put on a masterful performance of grief. At her funeral, I fainted from sorrow several times. Everyone was moved to tears by my profound love and devotion. They all urged me to stay strong, to pull myself together for the sake of the company. After all, the vast Sterling Corporation was now waiting for me to manage it. Hearing those words, I almost laughed out loud. This unbelievable fortune. It was finally my turn. My dearest ex-wife, have a safe trip. See you never.